Too many people wait for a sign before they start. They wait for the stars to align, for the economy to improve, for someone to give them permission. But the truth is, signs are overrated. The people who succeed in life don't wait for signs. They make decisions and set schedules. A schedule is a commitment in ink, not a wish in your head. It's the difference between "I'll try" and "I will." Waiting for a sign is passive. Following a schedule is active. Signs might inspire you for a moment, but a schedule builds you for a lifetime. Think about it. You don't accidentally get in shape. You schedule workouts. You don't magically build a business. You schedule time for calls, meetings, and creation. You don't drift into deep relationships. You schedule dinners, calls, and time together. The magic is not in the moment you feel ready. The magic is in the moment you decide and act. A schedule is proof to yourself that you're serious. It's how you turn intention into habit and habit into results. When you work by a schedule, you take control of your time instead of letting time control you. You stop saying "someday" and start saying "Monday at 7 a.m." You stop living by moods and start living by priorities. The world doesn't reward the person who waits for the perfect moment. It rewards the one who prepares for the moment and shows up consistently. So, don't sit around waiting for a sign. Your sign is already here. It's the calendar on your wall, the clock on your desk, and the commitment you make to yourself. Build a schedule, stick to it, and watch how life starts giving you the very opportunities you've been waiting for. A sign can be exciting. It can feel like the universe is finally pointing in your direction, like the clouds have parted and the message you've been waiting for has arrived. It can spark emotion, stir your imagination, and make you feel like you've been chosen for something special. But here's the challenge: signs are fleeting. They light a fire for a moment, but if you don't do something with that spark, the flame dies out. A sign can start your journey, but it cannot carry you to the finish line. Transformation doesn't come from a single burst of inspiration. It comes from the quiet, steady work of showing up day after day. A schedule is what makes that possible. It doesn't ask how you feel in the morning. It doesn't wait for the weather to be perfect or for the mood to strike. It simply tells you, this is what needs to be done, and this is when it will be done. Think of it like planting a tree. Seeing a sign that says, "Plant a tree today," might inspire you to pick up a seed. But planting it once is not enough. You have to water it, tend to it, protect it from weeds and pests, and do it regularly. The schedule, watering every morning, checking the soil every week, is what allows that seed to become something strong and lasting. Without the schedule, even the best seed will wither. Many people live their lives hopping from one sign to another. They hear a motivating speech, they see a quote on social media, they watch a video that makes them want to change. For a day or two, they feel unstoppable. But then life gets busy, the emotions fade, and they're back to their old habits. That's because inspiration is like a match. It burns hot, but it burns out quickly. A schedule is like a furnace. It keeps burning as long as you feed it. If you've ever wondered why some people seem to keep moving forward, even when nothing exciting is happening, it's because they've learned not to rely on signs alone. They've built a structure around their goals. They have a time for reading, a time for exercise, a time for building their craft. They treat their schedule as non-negotiable, like an appointment with their future. The truth is, transformation isn't dramatic. It's not a sudden flash of lightning that changes your life in one instant. Transformation is slow, steady pressure over time. It's doing the same small, right thing over and over until the results show up. And that's the beauty of a schedule. It takes the guesswork out of progress. You don't have to decide every day what to do. You just follow the plan you've set for yourself. Now, this doesn't mean signs are useless. Signs can be valuable. They can wake you up, make you see what's possible, and remind you of your direction. But if you stop at the sign and never hit the road, you'll never reach the destination. A sign points the way, a schedule walks the way. When you commit to a schedule, you stop chasing motivation and start building momentum. You don't waste time wondering if today is the right day to start. You already started, and you keep going. And here's the irony: the more you follow your schedule, the more signs you start to see. Not because the universe suddenly decided to send them to you, but because you're already in motion, and motion attracts opportunity. The bottom line is this: signs can inspire you, but only schedules can transform you. A sign is the whisper that says, "You can do this." A schedule is the action that proves, "I am doing this." If you want lasting change, don't just look for signs. Build the schedule that will turn them into something real. And once you do, you'll realize you no longer have to wait for the perfect moment. because every moment becomes the perfect moment to keep going. Moods are tricky. They can lift you up one moment and drop you the next. One day you feel unstoppable, ready to take on the world, and the next you can't even get yourself to start. If you rely on moods to decide what you'll do, you'll live a life of inconsistency. And inconsistency never produces greatness. That's why a calendar is far more powerful than a mood. A calendar doesn't ask how you feel. It doesn't care if you woke up energized or tired, motivated or discouraged. It simply lays out the plan you committed to and says, this is what you do today. It's a steady, dependable guide when your emotions are all over the place. The most successful people aren't necessarily the ones who are in a good mood every day. They're the ones who keep their commitments even when the mood is missing. A calendar becomes their silent accountability partner. When it says 9:00 a.m., call the client, or 6:00 p.m., go for a run, they do it whether they feel like it or not. That's how they keep moving forward when others stall. The danger of following moods is that they can be deceptive. You might feel too tired to start a project, but the truth is, once you begin, energy shows up. You might feel unmotivated to exercise, but halfway through, you feel alive and glad you came. If you let moods dictate your actions, you rob yourself of the reward that comes from showing up in spite of how you feel. A calendar protects you from that trap. It removes the question, do I feel like it? And replaces it with, eats on the schedule, so it gets done. That's where discipline is born. And discipline is the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. Think of the farmer. The farmer doesn't wake up and decide based on his mood whether he'll plant seeds, water the fields, or harvest the crops. He follows the seasons, the timetable, the rhythm that nature demands. If he waited for the right mood, the harvest would never come. Life works the same way. There are seasons for planting, building, learning, and growing. A calendar keeps you in step with those seasons, even when your feelings try to pull you off course. The irony is, when you live by a calendar, your moods actually improve. Why? Because progress is one of the greatest mood boosters there is. When you see yourself moving toward your goals, even slowly, it builds confidence and satisfaction. You no longer feel trapped in cycles of starting and stopping, hoping and quitting. Instead, you're in motion, and motion creates momentum. Some people think using a calendar makes life rigid and joyless. But the truth is, it does the opposite. A good calendar gives you freedom. When you know your priorities are scheduled and handled, you can enjoy your free time without guilt or that nagging feeling that you should be doing something else. Structure doesn't kill spontaneity. It makes space for it. Of course, a calendar only works if you respect it. If you treat it as a suggestion instead of a commitment, it loses its power. That's why the relationship between you and your calendar has to be one of trust. You trust that if you do what it says, you'll get where you want to go. And the calendar trusts that you'll show up and honor your word. So, the next time you feel like waiting until you're in the right mood, remember, moods are visitors. They come and go. A calendar is a foundation, it stays. Moods are unpredictable. A calendar is consistent. And when it comes to building a life of purpose, consistency will always win over unpredictability. If you want results you can count on, don't live by moods. Live by your calendar. Because when the mood fades, and it will, your calendar will still be there, guiding you toward the life you promised yourself you would build. Motivation feels good. It's the rush of excitement when you watch an inspiring video, read a powerful story, or hear a speech that stirs something deep inside you. In that moment, you feel ready to take on anything. You tell yourself, this is it. I'm finally going to change. But then a day passes. The feeling fades. Life gets in the way. And suddenly, that mountain you thought you could climb looks impossible again. That's the problem with motivation. It's temporary. Discipline, on the other hand, doesn't depend on how you feel. Discipline shows up whether you're tired or energized, happy or frustrated. It's not a burst of excitement. It's the steady decision to keep going no matter what. And that's why discipline beats motivation every time. Motivation is like the spark that lights a fire. Discipline is the wood you keep adding to it so it doesn't go out. Without discipline, that spark quickly dies. But with discipline, even a small spark can turn into a roaring flame. If you look at anyone who has achieved something remarkable, whether in business, sports, relationships, or personal growth, you'll find that discipline was at the center of it. They didn't just work when they felt motivated. They worked when it was inconvenient. They worked when they didn't feel like it. They worked when no one was watching and no one was cheering them on. The truth is, discipline is built in the small, ordinary moments. It's waking up when the alarm rings instead of hitting snooze. It's making the healthy choice when the easy choice is right in front of you. It's sticking to the plan you made last week, even though today you'd rather do something else. These little victories stack up over time, and they're what create real results. Motivation is reactive. It waits for the right conditions. Discipline is proactive. It creates the conditions. Motivation might get you to start the race, but discipline gets you to the finish line. And in life, the finish line is where the rewards are. One of the greatest benefits of discipline is that it builds trust with yourself. Every time you follow through on what you said you'd do, you prove to yourself that you can be counted on. That self-trust becomes a powerful force. You stop waiting for the right moment because you know you can create the right moment by simply taking action. People who rely solely on motivation often find themselves stuck in cycles. They get inspired, they start strong, and then they stop when the feeling fades. Then they wait for another burst of motivation to start again. It's a roller coaster. Exciting at first, but exhausting in the long run. Discipline takes you off that roller coaster and puts you on a steady road forward. Now, this doesn't mean motivation is useless. It has its place. It can ignite the desire to begin. It can remind you why you started. But it should never be the engine that drives your progress. That job belongs to discipline. And here's the interesting part: the more you practice discipline, the more motivation you actually feel. Why? Because action creates energy. When you keep showing up and making progress, you start to feel good about yourself. That feeling fuels you to keep going. In other words, discipline can create motivation, but motivation rarely creates discipline. So if you're serious about your goals, stop asking, how can I stay motivated? And start asking, how can I stay disciplined? Build routines, make commitments, stick to them whether you feel like it or not, because when the excitement fades, and it will, discipline will still be there, carrying you forward. The bottom line is simple motivation can get you started, but discipline is what keeps you moving. And in the end, it's not the person who starts the fastest who wins. It's the one who refuses to stop. A wish is easy. Anyone can say, I want to get in shape. I want to start a business, or I want to write a book. But unless those words find a place on your calendar, they remain just that, words. The truth is, if it's not scheduled, it's not real. It's a dream floating in the air with no anchor to pull it down into reality. The reason a schedule is so powerful is because it forces you to translate vague intentions into concrete action. When you decide exactly what you'll do and exactly when you'll do it, you take your goal out of the realm of imagination and place it into the structure of time. Time is where things happen. Time is where results live. Think about how we treat important commitments. If you have a doctor's appointment, it's on the calendar. If you have a flight to catch, it's on the calendar. If you have a meeting with your boss, it's on the calendar. Why? Because these things matter and you don't want to risk forgetting or delaying them. Yet, strangely, when it comes to our own personal goals, the dreams that could change our lives, we leave them floating around in our heads, hoping we'll find time. But time isn't found. Time is made. The problem with unscheduled goals is that life will always fill the gap. There's always something urgent to distract you. An email, a phone call, a sudden problem, or simply the pull of entertainment and comfort. Without a schedule, your goal has no defense against these distractions. But when it's scheduled, it has a place to live, and everything else has to work around it. A schedule also makes you accountable. When you see 6:30 a.m. morning run on your calendar, it's no longer a casual idea. It's an appointment with your future self. You either keep it or you break it. And breaking it comes with the awareness that you've stepped away from your own commitment. That small sting is valuable because it reminds you that your goals deserve the same respect you give to commitments with other people. Another benefit of scheduling is that it forces you to get specific. You can't just write work on business on a calendar. You need to decide what exactly you'll do in that time. Make sales calls, design the website, create the marketing plan. That specificity turns vague dreams into actionable steps. And the more specific your action, the more likely you are to take it. Some people resist scheduling because they fear it will make their lives rigid. But the truth is, structure creates freedom. When you know exactly when you'll work on your goals, you can fully enjoy your downtime without guilt. You no longer carry the nagging feeling that you should be doing something else. Your mind is free because you trust that your goals are already accounted for. Of course, scheduling only works if you honor it. A calendar filled with ignored commitments is no better than an empty one. That's why you have to treat scheduled time for your goals as sacred. Guard it fiercely. Protect it from interruptions. Let others know that during this time, You're unavailable. This isn't selfish. It's the discipline required to turn dreams into reality. Here's the bottom line: a wish is just hope without a plan. A schedule is the plan that makes hope real. If something matters to you, give it a place in your day, in your week, in your month. Don't let it drift in the someday pile. Write it down, block the time, and show up for it. Because in the end, life doesn't reward what you want. It rewards what you do. And what you do consistently is what's scheduled. Everything else is just talk. Inspiration can be powerful. It can strike like lightning, lighting up your mind and giving you a rush of energy to act. But just like lightning, it flashes for a moment and then it's gone. If you wait for inspiration to strike again before you move, you'll spend most of your life waiting. Inspiration can start the engine, but it's consistency that keeps the wheels turning. And here's the truth: consistency compounds faster than inspiration ever could. Consistency is quiet. It's not flashy. It's not a big emotional high. It's simply showing up again and again, whether you feel like it or not. And because it's steady, it builds momentum that inspiration alone can't match. Think of it like money. If you put a little in the bank once in a while, only when you feel inspired to save, your account won't grow much. But if you deposit a set amount every single week, no matter how you feel, your savings will grow. And not just add up, but multiply through compounding. That's what consistency does for your skills, your habits, your health, your relationships. It compounds. The problem with relying on inspiration is that it's unpredictable. You don't control when it comes or how long it lasts. But consistency is under your control. You decide to keep the appointment with yourself. You decide to do the work, even if your mood is low. And every time you follow through, you're adding another brick to the foundation you're building. The magic of consistency is that it doesn't just add results. It accelerates them. The first few weeks or months might feel slow, like you're barely making progress. But over time, the small efforts stack on top of each other, and suddenly the results start to grow faster and faster. The more consistent you are, the more benefit each action brings, because it's building on the work you've already done. Inspiration, on the other hand, is like trying to sprint every few weeks. You might cover some ground quickly in the moment, but then you stop, lose momentum, and have to start over again. You never get far because you're constantly resetting. Consistency is like walking at a steady pace every single day. You might not feel as fast in the beginning, but you'll outdistance the sprinter every time because you never stop. This is why the people who achieve the most aren't always the most talented, the smartest, or the ones who get the biggest bursts of inspiration. They're the ones who keep showing up, doing the work, refining their craft, and sticking with it long after the excitement fades. Their progress compounds not because they had a brilliant idea once, but because they kept acting on good ideas over and over again. Here's another benefit of consistency. It attracts opportunity. When people see you showing up regularly, they begin to trust you. They know you're reliable. They see your body of work growing. They're more likely to offer you chances because they know you'll follow through. You don't have to chase as many opportunities. Consistency brings them to your doorstep. And just like with money, the earlier you start, the more powerful the compounding effect becomes. Every day you delay is a day you could have been building momentum. That's why it's so important not to wait for inspiration to start. Start small, start imperfect, but start, and then keep going. Inspiration might get your heart racing for a moment, but consistency will change your life. One gives you a spark, the other builds a fire that never goes out. And over time, that steady flame will do more for you than 1,000 bursts of excitement ever could. Because in the end, greatness isn't built in the moments you feel inspired. It's built in the countless moments you act without needing to feel inspired. That's the compound interest of discipline, and it will take you further than you ever imagined.